are back. Your man Diamond K in here, of course. RadioFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. So much to get into today. So much to talk about. I'm going to be joined a little bit later by a special guest, and that is the mayor-elect of Baltimore. So Brandon Scott will be joining us a little bit later. A lot to get into, and we're going to do all of that. So interesting things have happened with regards to the election. Finally, the U.S. agency has moved forward with the ascertainment of Joe Biden as the winner. The transition is going to begin. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. America was out there looking crazy. And so that has changed, and things are going to move forward with that, with regards to that. So that is interesting. I think that is just a matter of time before the president has to accept and come forward and accept things as they are. And that means that Joe Biden is the president-elect. Donald Trump on his way out. Thankfully. I didn't know we were going to get here. The General Services Administration, the GSA, ascertained today President-elect Joe Biden as the apparent winner of the November 3rd election. This is clearing the way for the start of the transition from Donald Trump's administration and allowing Joe Biden to coordinate with federal agencies on plans for taking over on January the 20th. So Trump, of course, you remember, had refused to concede the election. Refused. Said in a tweet that he is directing his team to cooperate on the transition, but is vowing to keep up the fight. There is no fight. There is no fight. It's over. The fighting, the fighting already happened, and you lost. 80 million Americans, more than that, voted for Joe Biden. It's over. The administrator, Emily Murphy, made the determination after Trump's efforts to subvert the vote failed across battleground states, citing recent developments involving legal challenges and certifications of the election results. Michigan certified Biden's victory today, and a federal judge in Pennsylvania tossed a Trump campaign lawsuit on Saturday, seeking to prevent certification in that state. It's over. It's over, and could not happen soon enough. So that is good. In the days ahead, the transition officials will begin meeting with federal officials to discuss the pandemic response and have a full accounting of our national security interest, and gain complete understanding of the Trump administration's efforts to hollow out government agencies. This is something that he's been doing. Oh, definitely. I'm glad that this is happening. So we're going to see a lot of things. I don't think that Trump is finished with his shenanigans. They're going to be more shenanigans that you can be sure of. Just tune in to Diamond K, the Diamond K Show, RadioFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. So we're talking about the U.S. agencies ascertaining Joe Biden as the winner. And we have a lot to get into tonight. As you know, I will be joined tonight by the mayor-elect, Brandon Scott, is going to be joining us And I have a gang of questions for him. I do. I have a lot. I have some questions. I have some questions that I'm trying to get answered, as many of you do. And when we announced that this interview was going to take place, I got a lot of questions, and I got some reoccurring questions. So I am going to be asking the mayor-elect some of these questions. You can also post questions, and I will be, taking. I'll take a look. Some people have crazy questions, right? But I have good questions, and I'm not saying that other people don't have good questions as well. But there are questions that we need answered, and I see that the mayor-elect is backstage, so we're going to go right on and talk to him. Get you to unmute.
Are we good? Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, we're good. All right, and so Mr. Mayor-elect Brandon Scott here. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, brother. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I definitely want to congratulate you on an overwhelming victory. The voters of Baltimore spoke and elected you with over 70% of the vote. So I definitely this is the first time that I think we've talked since the election. And so how did you feel? How do you feel?
Well, listen, I first and foremost, I am still humbled by the support that the voters of Baltimore gave me. I am proud to have their support, and I'm really focused and energized and ready to start leading the city. It's clear with the election of a young person, a young black person from Baltimore, that the voters and residents of Baltimore do not want a continuation of the status quo, and I look forward to bringing that deep change that they've been asking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And so a reoccurring question that I got when it was announced that I was going to be talking with you, and that was, are you sure that this young man is ready to be mayor? And you're going to be the youngest mayor in Baltimore City in over 100 years. During the primary, I asked you that question, whether or not you were ready, and I was completely convinced with your answer. But what can you say to Baltimoreans that wonder if you're up for this, being so young?
Well, yeah, I laugh because I get this question a lot. But when you think about this, Don, you have to think about it like this. Folks look at me as 36 and think like I'm young, where I have friends who have been mayors of cities when they were 26, 27, right? But also thinking about my experience. I have worked in City Hall 13 consecutive years. There is nothing else that I'm going to learn by being 4 years older, 5 years older, 10 years older about what needs to happen in Baltimore that I don't already know. I've lived here my whole life and when you think about the folks that we've had as mayor in the recent years of my lifetime, I'm the first when you think about who lived through the 80s and 90s and early 2000s as a young person, as a kid who grew up with zero tolerance, who grew up when you had over-policing, who grew up with the imploding of drugs and all of those things, right? I'm the first mayor that we've had that's lived through that as a child. And I also tell people that when you grow up and experience those things, I saw my first shooting before my 10th birthday, it changes you. It makes you see the world in a different way and requires you to mature at a much more rapid rate, and also make a decision whether you're going to accept things the way they are and do things to change them. And when I know we talked about this before, I also smile because I think back and say, like, we have to, especially in the moment that we're even living in right now, call out things as they are. right? And when you think about Baltimore, when Martin O'Malley became mayor, he was just a few months older than me.
Right.
No
Three
one,
months older than you.
yeah, no one said that a 36-year-old Martin O'Malley, white dude, didn't have enough experience. And guess what? He didn't have 13 years of experience of working in city government, nor did he grow up and live in Baltimore. My good friend Johnny O in Baltimore County was 36 when he became the county executive. I don't remember people saying like, "Oh, is he too young to be the county executive?" Same thing from my good friend Senate President Bill Ferguson. Just so happens to be that we were all the same age, but the question only came out about one person, and ironically, it's the one person who had the most experience in the field, in addition to the education in the field that I have.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you're absolutely right, and that is exactly what you said to me during the primary, and it's true. And what I want to do, I want to go back to the beginning, right? So I am from a very small neighborhood called Baltimore and Hilton in West Baltimore. You are from Park Heights. As you said, we both have seen a lot growing up. What made you want to become a politician?
Well, it's not, oh, there's an echo now. Do you hear that, Tom?
No.
Okay, great. If you don't hear it, it's fine.
Okay.
For me, it's about that growing up, right? Like when you think about me, you gotta think about me as like the quintessential village child, right? I grew up in a neighborhood where almost all of my family lived. I spent so much time with them. I saw the things that I saw that we've talked about, the violence, going to schools with no heat and air, losing friends, seeing people's families struggle with substance abuse. And even we were talking about this the other day after my grandmother's funeral, where one of the friends, a couple of friends that my cousin and I grew up with, and we were talking about some of the experiences that we have. Where one day my cousin actually got into it with one of our friends' moms because on Christmas his mom had actually sold all of his gifts. When you see your friends like literally crying to the point where you and your family, your brothers, your cousin actually give them things because they like, that makes you think like there's supposed to be somebody responsible for trying to deal with the issues that are causing this. And I remember just one day when I was a young kid asking my mom, like, why doesn't anybody care? Who's going to come to change it? Who's going to stop the things that are coming from the ranch, which was the apartment complex behind my house, that coming right to our block? And she just said, if you want to change it, you're going to have to do it yourself. No one's gonna come and save you or save Park Heights. And that's really because service has always been in my blood. I always tell the story about one day my dad and I were shopping for groceries at the Ricestown Road Giant before it was fancy, not at the Plaza, but down on Menlo. You know what I'm talking about, across from what used to be West Coast Video and
Yep.
Taco Bell. And we came out, and there was a young lady, just had a baby, homeless, couldn't feed the baby. You could see that her and the baby both were crying. And when we got home, I like acted a fool until my dad took me back up there, taking all of the money that I have accrued to go and buy the food. Like that's just been in me, and that's from my family. Both my mom and my dad coached Little League in Park Heights, just so all the children in the neighborhood would actually have an outlet and not just my brothers. You know, like that's the kind of family that I come from. And when you come from that kind of family and you experience the things you experience, you just really want to get involved with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's impactful. And so if we take a snapshot of the national landscape, so Donald Trump had been delaying President-elect Joe Biden's transition team. How has your transition been going? Have you been getting any resistance from the young administration?
No, we are knee deep in it. So the agencies have been operating and sending us information. We've had transition memos done for months now. At this point, my transition committee is pushing and moving and doing the work that they need to do. We'll have bigger announcements as we come through over this week and early next week about that. And we're just gracious to be in a different position and not have to deal with the craziness like this coming out of the White House.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Have you made any decisions as far as the mayoral inauguration?
Yes, so we announced that today. I know that typically there's a big to do all day with the bells and whistles and the choirs and the young kids marching and doing all the things that we love about Baltimore. That's not happening because we are seeing a Diamond where our COVID cases are through the roof in Baltimore. And I think that that's really a critical thing for us to understand that I can't be the one out here saying that we have to follow the public health advice, that we have to lead in a different way, that we have to make sure that we are being safe, practice social distancing, wearing a mask, doing all of that and then saying, "Well, I'm still gonna have my big swearing in. We still gonna have the big inauguration, and we're gonna have the party after it's over." So we announced today that I will be leading by example and having a very small ceremony at City Hall. Not a big to do. Going out, getting sworn in, making a statement, not no big long speech, and getting right to work to start to handle the issues that Baltimore faces, COVID-19 and the continued pandemic and the continued violence epidemic in Baltimore. I just wanted to highlight this for COVID for the folks that are watching and see this and listening. Uh, from 4 weeks ago, as of right now, as we talk on the 23rd of November, COVID cases in Baltimore City are plus 353% over the last month. Deaths are 175% higher than the last month. Positivity for tests are 238% higher than the last month. And let me also be very clear about who, right? Like you've heard me say this before about the younger people getting folks sick. The reality is that most of the people that have contracted COVID-19, the highest age range, two of them, 20 to 29 and 30 to 39. But if you combine the deaths between 20 and 29 and 30 and 39, Diamond, there's only 11 deaths, even though 4,827 people between the age of 20 and 29 have contracted COVID and 4,666 between the age of 30 and 39. But when you look on the flip side, those who are 80 plus only have 819 cases, but 204 deaths. That means young people are being irresponsible, going to
Yes.
party, going to Miami, going to the bar, going out with their friends, having hotel parties, all of that, and literally coming back home, going to their families, killing their parents and grandparents.
Right.
We have to be better and stop being so selfish. If you really love your family members, have a virtual Thanksgiving. That's what you have to do so that they're here for Christmas and Thanksgiving for years to come. Don't be reckless.
Absolutely. And with that being said, how we've seen restrictions that have been increased in the recently. How serious are you going to be about the enforcement of the coronavirus restrictions?
We're going to be very serious. We're going to follow everything that I do when it comes to COVID-19 will be driven by public health professionals. It will not be other things coming into this. This is when you're talking about life and death. That's what we're talking about here. And there are going to be decisions that we have to make that are going to be unpopular, but the right one to make. And I won't be afraid to make the right decision, even if people don't like it, because it's my responsibility to keep people healthy and safe.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear that. It troubles me when people talk about wearing a mask as that's some type of a violation of their freedom. I don't understand that concept at all.
Yeah, I think that listen, the reality, Diamond man, we're living in a time where you have a buffoon still in the White House, right?
Right.
And you've had this for years now, right? Brewing this separation of folks who want to live in a decent world based in reality and folks who live in this fantasy world that one they get to do and say anything they want, and also that they don't have to believe in facts, right? And that's what we have. These folks who are saying, "Oh, don't wear a mask. Mask is the increases because of breathing in your own carbon dioxide and stuff." I'm like,
Yeah.
stop being so stupid.
Yeah.
Don't listen to the same people, that type of people that are telling you that Trump is sent by God and thinking, wear a mask. Because how many times do we have to see people, how folks are petty and they take a screenshot of someone saying, like, oh, this ain't real. I ain't got to wear a mask. And then a month later, another tweet or something saying, oh, my such and such died from COVID.
Right.
Or like, that's what I'm saying. This
Right.
is real. This isn't fake. Do we think that people, I think about this here in Baltimore. How many regular average people, Diamond, do you know that work at one of the hospitals around Baltimore in the medical field? Do you think these people are making it up and
Right.
taking their clothes off when they get at home, or going into the basement of their house and taking showers before they even see their family?
Right.
I, because they go up with some ghost story? No,
No.
they're seeing people die every day. And I think that people have to start to take that seriously, because this kind of peak could be worse than it was in March, February, March, and April, because people are being relaxed and they got COVID fatigue and they just don't have the discipline to do what needs to be done, and that's continue to be vigilant, washing hands, wearing a mask, doing all this simple stuff that you could do to make sure that people will stay healthy and safe.
Right, right, and it is serious. It's a real serious thing, and something else that is serious. Crime has been an ever present obstacle in Baltimore City for all of our lives.
Yeah.
And you said this in the past. I quote: "Only the mayor can impact directly what the agencies do around crime." Can you talk about some plans to address violent repeat offenders and the flow of illegal guns specifically?
Yeah, we're talking about Baltimore, Diamond, where only the mayor has authority over the police department and the other agencies, right? So when you think about it, and let me be very clear, there's a role for the police, and we're going to focus that role. We are no longer going to say that the responsibility of violence and crime in Baltimore is solely on the backs of the police. Because when you think about that, we have to think about it like this. We know that the way that they've been dealing with drug addiction and criminalizing that hasn't had any impact. We're talking about a health issue that should be dealt with from a public health standpoint. Trauma that comes from violence is not something for the police to do. Right? We have to change that mindset using our other agencies, our health department, rec and parks, employment development, getting people opportunities, our school system. Those agencies need to help. DPW, keeping places clean. That all helps. But for BPD specifically, you have to focus them. When you're talking about violent repeat offenders, or this phenomenon that we know in Baltimore or around the country as group violence, most of the violence in the city, as you and I know, is just back and forth between the same groups continuously over and over and over. And
Right.
when you look at what has happened around the country, when cities have reduced violence to its lowest level, and even here in Baltimore to a certain extent from 2007 to 2014, it's never been about going out and arresting everybody. Who, like, that doesn't work.
Right.
2003, for example, they arrested 100,000 people. We had 278 homicides. 2011, they arrested 60,000. We only had 197. Fewer arrests, fewer homicides. It's the focus. Having a focused deterrence model, group violence reduction strategy, where you identify and target those small groups of people who commit the violence each and every day, but also not just going and bringing people in, doing the call-ins and saying and letting folks know, if you don't change the way you operate, we're going to remove you from the city through prosecution, federal prosecution, all of that. But when people say, look, I want out, I want to change my way of life, bring the resources that allow people to operate and provide for their families in a different way. One. Two, They've never had a local strategy for dealing with the flow of illegal guns into the city. We know that this year alone, the last time BPD presented it to me, 70% of the weapons recovered on the streets of Baltimore had an origin of outside the city. More were recovered from outside of the state than in from inside the city of Baltimore itself. That's the kind of thing that we have to attack, because those same folks who are bringing the drugs in here, many of them are bringing the guns in here as well. And you and I know that where you grew up on Hilton, some young man there who's never been to Northeast Baltimore, East Baltimore, didn't go to West Virginia or Allegheny County to buy
Right.
that gun.
Right.
Somebody, it came that way. We need to target those people the same exact way. We're part of things that allow us to track those guns back to where they come from. We have to go after those people with the same vigor, and we will.
Right. What is your relationship like with Commissioner Harrison, and what type of job has he done thus far? I think he's been in the job long enough to really give an evaluation.
Yeah, I have a good relationship with Commissioner Harrison. And what I would say the job that he's done thus far has been incomplete, right? First and foremost, while I think that they've made a lot of significant progress on the reform and the consent decree side, they know I'm not happy with how they've been dealing with the violence. But as I said, as you pointed out earlier, the most important variable that I think is missing in the quote unquote grading of the police commissioner is the position that I'm about to assume. Because when you haven't had a mayor that set goals for you, that set metrics for you, that's going to hold you accountable, that's going to say, this is what you should be focused on, this is the overarching plan, this is how all the other agencies are going to work together to deal with this issue, and say, this is how you're going to be evaluated. You get what you get when you don't have people that are going to pressure them, that are going to question them, they're going to challenge them, they're going to say, hey, this is happening here, here, and here far too frequently. And using my experience as someone who grew up and worked through that kind of system, who was here when we had violence at its lowest point in the city, that's what's missing. And that's what Baltimore is about to get. Someone who thinks about that stuff all day, every day, and really is going to push them to be better so that they will be evaluated, like every agency here will, on their performance under the metrics and the values that I set as the leader of the administration.
Well said. Well said. I know that we're up against the clock. You often, I'm sure, get the question about the first 100 days. What is your goal for the first 100 days?
Well, when you think about the first 100 days that I'm going to have, it's going to be very unique, right? You have to think about it like this. One, COVID is still going to be here, and as we've already talked about, peaking. Got to focus on that. Got to make sure that we're getting ready, that we're following orders, that we're putting in things in places to make sure that we're getting the testing, the PPE, people are being safe, doing what we have to do as far as opening, closing, widening, shutting, all of those kind of things, right? Preparing for vaccine dissemination. Have to do all of that work continuously. Two, we know that violent crime is going to be an issue, and that's what one of the top things that we're going to do is putting that coordination around making sure that violent crime is the focus and will be the focus each and every day for everyone, including the police department. But then you have to think about, this has to be the team building portion, right? I'm coming into a city government that is at the bare bones, right? There is no DPW director. There is no housing commissioner. There is no director of equity and civil rights. We're also, as you know, going to be bringing on a professional city administrator to run the day-to-day operations of city government. We are talking about not the first 100 days, but also the term really. But starting that work in the first 100 days, we're talking about, Diamond, building the structure, the foundation of how Baltimore City can be the best representation of itself by building the best team possible. I'm not Bill Belichick, right? I'm not the coach that think there are no superstar players and I can plug anybody into my system and I can give Cam Newton three bums off the street and play receiver. And because I'm Bill Belichick, we're going to win. We're going to go to the Super Bowl every year. We know that that's not the case. Smart leaders surround themselves with the best talent, the best team, and the best group of people that can work together cohesively as a unit. That's what we're going to be doing, because we're talking about building a foundation for how we can win a Super Bowl as a city. We're not going to go from 0-16 to winning a Super Bowl in a year. We have to build that foundation for us to stand on, and that's really what the first 100 days is going to be about.
Excellent, excellent. Again, I appreciate you taking time to speak with me and my audience. Last question. People may not know that I was a history major, but people do know that my background is in music. So I couldn't think of a better way to end this conversation without a music question. What or who is your favorite rapper, and who is your favorite singer?
Oh, wow. Can I make it three? Can I do rap
Sure.
group too?
Sure.
So rap group, you already know, Wu-Tang. No doubt about that, and it's Wu-Tang, and it's not even close. My favorite rapper of all time, and this is something that's grown over the years, I would have to say it's Black Thought from the Roots.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to say Black Thought from the Roots, but I will tell you, Fonte from Little Brother is very close. And then my favorite singer is James Brown.
Wow. Okay.
Too easy.
I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. All right, so I'm just reading that comment there. Okay. Excellent. So we both come from that same era. So that is good. But again, you are the mayor-elect of Baltimore City, and you have a tough job ahead of you. But I definitely want to congratulate you and understand that this is going to be something that involves uniting people, and the job is going to be difficult, but people clearly want something different, want a different strategy, and you having the unique background of, like you said, really growing up amongst what Baltimore has become. You are probably in the best position to change it for the better.
Yes, sir. And thank you. And look, I look forward to coming back and talking to the folks more in the future, and letting people know about what we got going on.
Absolutely. You have an open line anytime you want to come through.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Again, thank you.
Peace.
See you. All right. And that was the mayor-elect, Baltimore City, Brandon Scott. And, it was good talking with him. And as I said, the challenges for Baltimore are vast, and we need some innovative ideas and innovative strategies to get through that. And I'm looking forward to this new day. Baltimore is in a new day. Definitely. So just tune in. It's Don McKay, The Don McKay Show, at The Don McKay Show, at Radio on Fire. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break and come back and finish up the show. So we are in the week of Thanksgiving, and millions are sticking to their Thanksgiving travel plans despite the warnings that have been given about the spread. About 1 million Americans, a million Americans a day are packing airports and planes over the weekend that just passed, even as the coronavirus death rates surge across the country. Public health experts are begging people to stay home and avoid big Thanksgiving gatherings, but the crowds are only expected to grow. Next Sunday is likely to be the busiest day of the holiday period. What is going on? I mean, we've been waiting this long. Why can't we wait a little while? Wait a little while longer. I I don't know. I don't know why. But number of people flying for Thanksgiving is down more than half from last year because of the rapidly deteriorating outbreak. However, the 3 million who went through the U.S. airport checkpoints from Friday to Sunday marked the biggest crowds at the airport since mid-March, when the COVID-19 crisis took hold. So we're dealing with that. Many travelers, like I said, unwilling to miss out on seeing family and are convinced that they can do it safely, that they got the answers. So it's interesting. The problem here is that you don't see the impact of the surge immediately. Takes a little while before things set in and we really see what's going on. Takes time. And I hope that things do not get worse before they get better. But it's really something. People that don't know, I just got off with the line with Brandon Scott, the mayor-elect of Baltimore City. And we spoke about a number of things. And, of course, you'll be able to check it out on demand. The difficulty, I mean, you waited, he's campaigned, and now he's going into office, and he cannot even, have the big event that the mayor's, ball, inauguration has come to be. He's not even going to be able to do it that way, and that's because of the COVID-19 pandemic, unfortunately. But that's what it is. That's what we're dealing with. And as these vaccines come online and people start taking them, some are 90%, 95%. I saw one that's like 70%. Eventually, they're going to get it together. This third vaccine that they're talking about shows some promise. It's AstraZeneca, but it's going to take time. So then we also have to see the long-term effects and all of that. Eventually, we're going to get this under heel, the coronavirus. Eventually. Now, I know a lot of people are not going to be confident enough in the early vaccines. That's not even going to be for the average person anyway. That's going to be for healthcare workers and the elderly. It's going to be some time before the average Joe Blow is even getting these vaccines. So we're talking about probably late spring, early summer before it really starts to come down the pike, and distribution is going to be an issue. This is going to be a whole thing. This is going to be a whole thing. And the most important thing for people to remember is even once these vaccines come online, they're still going to want people to wear masks. They're still going to want people to social distance because everyone's not going to have the vaccine right away. Right? Everyone's not going to have the vaccine. So they're still trying to get to a 70% herd immunity, meaning that people are vaccinated, some people survived the virus, various things. They don't know even how quickly you would have to get the virus, the vaccination again. I mean, there's so many things. We're seeing this in real time. Something that normally takes years to do, we are seeing happening in real time quickly. So there definitely going to be, alterations that have to happen and adjustments and pivots that have to happen in real time. So that is something that is going down. So we talked about this before Brandon Scott came on the show, and the Trump administration officially authorizing Joe Biden's transition That is a good thing for the country as it relates to COVID-19, as it relates to many things with this country. But the GSA head, Emily Murphy, signing off and saying that the transition can begin. I mean, the pressure that was being put on Republicans to really, accept the obvious. President-elect Joe Biden, the Trump administration is ready to formally begin the transition process. Emily Murphy, the administrator, putting out a letter. This marks the first steps that Donald Trump has taken to acknowledge Joe Biden's victory. Murphy, she faced criticism from Democrats, GOP lawmakers, national security, health experts for delaying this transition. She said that she was not pressured to make the decision out of fear or favoritism, which is, whatever. But the Trump administration now permitting the agencies to coordinate with Joe Biden's transition team to discuss these important policy issues. The Biden team will now have access to the office space and federal resources, aka money, for background checks on Biden's White House staff appointments, cabinet picks, and all the jobs that they have to fill. The Trump administration has been hollowing the whole thing out, not filling jobs. But the Biden administration is also going to receive almost $10 million to pay staffers and other expenses. He was about to go on do some crowd raising, start asking for money again. But it is good, and it's time. It's time to unite the country, time to heal the country, trying to bring things together, and hopefully move this country in the right direction. Hopefully. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. And the main thing that I want to express is that unity in Baltimore City, unity between factions, liberal, progressive, moderates, Republicans, independents, people that have been checked out. We need everybody to come together to push this city forward in the right direction. And we're going to be talking about that in the days and the weeks to come. It's been Diamond K, and see you guys tomorrow.